Are we a dead team? Are we alive? Do we have any type of life? Do we have life like Mike Parker during his calls? Oh my goodness, the energy from the man is insane. Josh, buddy, it's been, we took a little bit of a hiatus after the Cal game. And yeah, man, how we doing? It's been a rough stretch for Oregon State football. How we doing?
Well, I thought coming out of a bye, at least we'd be feeling better about ourselves. I'll tell you right now, we are not. And neither is this team because holy smokes. Rob, I don't think we'll sniff a dub the rest of the season, my friend. I don't know if you feel any
Woo.
different about that, but yeah, not going to happen. And it got worse and it got worse real quick. And we saw that on Saturday.
You know, I don't know if I'm on that same page just yet. I think as we get through this podcast here, you'll probably get my thoughts on the honest opinion of what this current state of the football program is and if they will win another game. And right now, it's not looking great. I think overall, after the San Jose State loss, we're just kind of a boring team. It's a little bit of a boring watch. There is two massive plays in this football game. And you kind of think after these plays, you're like, oh, maybe the tides will turn. And the intro, if you're listening audio wise on Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, that Mike Parker call for the block field goal before the half, it felt like, all right, the boys are fired up. We're going into the break with some huge momentum. We feel good about things. Maybe we'll come out in the second half and just light them up, finally get into a rhythm. And it never happened. The offense comes out and kicks a field goal. They do score first in the second half, but again, not getting enough when they're, especially when they cross midfield and get into the red zone, just not getting enough. So the block field goal was a huge play. Didn't really change anything. Also, the Cy Vridwale interception down on our own goal line, stopping them late, getting a huge interception in the end zone and him returning it out. That felt like a huge turning point play. You're like, all right, here we go, boys. Like, let's go now. Let's go. Wake up a little bit, offense. Let's get going a little bit. And they just never did, man. And I don't know what you and I are texting during the game, obviously. And I don't know what it is about the offense. Something just has to change, and it starts with Ryan Gunderson. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's got to change the person that's running the offense, right? When you don't have a capable quarterback, and this is what we're going back to, we're struggling with the offensive side of the ball. And we're seeing right now, Rob, what it's like to not have a quarterback. And you have three quarterbacks right now on this roster, and you got two of them, Bengal Branson and our boy McCoy, who started the season, that are incapable of completing a pass, it feels like, to anybody unless they're on the other team. And this is what we've said for many weeks now. The issue, it's the play calling. It's Ryan Gunderson, his lack of, I don't know what you want to call it, but I think you texted me or I saw somebody say it. It's this team is miserable to watch. It's so vanilla. This offense is so mute. It's not even funny anymore. And I was able to watch a little bit. Jacoby had basketball, so between texting you and streaming it on YouTube because I don't get the CW and the awfulness that that incorporates, um, it just sucked all around. And that game started, it sucked, man. Hank has that fumble early on, and it's like, here we go again. Like we're coming out of a bye and we can't even hold on to the freaking football.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like from the very beginning, it had that vibe that it was going to be bad. And you texted me before the game, like, I think we're going to take a loss today. It just sucks. We're back and we're stuck in this realm of sucking again. And here we are talking about it miserably.
And it just had that weird feeling throughout the day. You're just kind of like, well, as soon as they announced that Go Branson was starting, I was kind of like, I don't think we're going to pull this one out today because there's just something about it just feels like they settled, and I understand why. I mentioned this post game on Twitter. I understand why they went with Go Branson. I completely get it. He's typically the safe guy to go with, right? But he's just not the guy for this offense. He was the guy for the 2022 team. Fine, because you could just hand it to Damian Martinez all night long and Deshaun Fenwick and just let them do their thing because the offensive line was elite. But now it's not. Okay. And now you need more perfection out of the quarterback position in this offense, the way it currently runs. And there's just no identity to this team right now. They're searching for it still. And we're in mid-November, late November now, and this team still does not really have an identity. There was a point made on the post-game Collins show by Mr. Merle Jr. I don't know if he listens to this. He probably doesn't, but if he does, shout out to you, Merle Jr. You make great points every single week on the post game to TJ Mathewson. And he was saying by taking out Giovanni McCoy or just any mobile quarterback, you are taking out the best play in the playbook, which is the option play. And with Gulbranson, he obviously can't do that. Now, from the 20 to the 20, inside the 20s, Oregon State was fine with Gulbranson. You had 474 total yards of offense, but you get 13 points out of that because once you get inside the 20-yard line, it's like Gundy doesn't know what to call anymore. He just just completely forgets what's been working. And then they try a stupid short yardage type run that never works. They've been trying different formations. They've been trying something else and just trying to get people down, trying to get runners downhill. It's just not working. You have to try something else to get the ball in the end zone. And then that 3rd and goal, 4th and goal sequence where Gulbranson throws it high, back-to-back plays. Those are, again, we mentioned it before, just uncatchable balls, low percentage throws. Gulbranson throws too many of them. He throws too many low percentage throws. The fumble killed you. The 2 interceptions were bad, man. It feels like when there's a speed bump for this offense, it's like, oh, that's it. That's over. It's over. It's done. They don't know how to overcome any type of minor adversity. And I don't know, man. It's been a frustrating losing streak just because all of these games, besides Cal, have been winnable. They have been right there for the taking, and they're just not stepping up to make the plays when they are presented to them in the red zone. It's just I don't have any hair, but pull some hair out, dude. It is brutal, man. It's tough to watch. So tough to watch. But the defense, man, they played pretty well. And they did what they had to do in a lot of cases. Did San Jose State drop some balls deep? Yeah, they did. Nick Nash still did his thing. He scored another touchdown, which is what he's great at. But man, Josh, buddy, the one thing about the defense, this defensive line, zero impact all year long. It's just nothing. Not one sack all year. It is November. And this drove me nuts after the game too. Just looking and watching some of the game back again, you're just like, oh my God, dude, they're not even trying anything. No one's trying to make a move. They're just bull rushing and then getting stood up, and then that's the end of the play for them. And then the quarterback has all year to throw. It's the worst defensive line unit in the world, not even in this country. They have no shot to get anything done. And I've been critical of Coach Tawaki. And it was funny. My buddy Ryan, he's a huge BYU fan, big Mormon, great family, great dude. I tweeted out that picture of Coach Tawaki, and I was like, show this guy the door at halftime. And he sent me that tweet, and he was all like, wait, he's on your staff? I was like, yeah, dude, I told you like pre-season that we have your former defensive coordinator on the staff. And he was like, man, I'm so sorry. He's bad. And I don't know. Do you think Trent Bray's the kind of coach to move on from guys after a year?
I hope he is. Now here, let me premise this conversation with this, because I don't want people to come after my family, because I'm a good guy. I like to think I'm a good guy.
He's a family man.
Here's the deal. Okay. You have to start somewhere. Something is not working this year. And I go back on this. We saw 4 great games at the start of the season with this Oregon State football team, and it has been the biggest drop off yet. I have yet to say this, but I'm going to say it finally. This last game felt like a very Gary Anderson-ish game. It finally came over, crept into it for me to the point. It's like, I feel like I'm watching Gary Anderson coaching, and just the football team is just uninspired. There's no energy anywhere. I don't understand what needs to happen, but here, Gundy's got to go. Is he going to go? The likelihood of that, probably not. Bray's going to hold on to him. And I think a lot of this has to do with this coaching staff being a majority of Oregon State alum. Bray's going to hold on to that. That's his safe place. That's his child in a blanket. He doesn't want to get rid of that. And after your first year as a head coach, going out and making decisions like that, it's not going to be fun. Yet, I think that's the right thing to do. I don't think Bray is going to do it. Now, let's look at this on the other side, Rob. We're not head coaches. We're Monday morning armchair quarterbacks. We can say what we want on this podcast. We can say what we want on social media.
We're the best at it, though.
Top tier, #1 draft picks coming out of the podcast. Here we go. We can say what we want and get blasted for it, whatever. Okay. I like to think that you and I have some very good opinions. We're very level headed, I think. And we've gotten some feedback from people that listen to the podcast. They like the way we vibe. Now, flip side of that, there's a lot of people that don't like us. Okay. And then we're not here to make friends. And that's just the reality of it. Okay. Gundy has to go and it has to start there. I'm telling you right now, this team's not making it to a bowl game. All that talked about a couple weeks ago, we had about them needing the extra practices, which obviously they freaking need right now. It's not going to happen. I really don't think we're going to get there unless you can look at the remaining games and tell me where these two more wins come from. No. Jenny's going to rush for 800 yards and steal the Heisman against Oregon State on our last game. Okay. It's done and over with. Long and extended for no reason. Gundy has to go. It has to start there. It's not going to happen. So you guys better buckle up and enjoy Oregon State football for the next couple years because it's going to be horrendous. And I'm going to say horrendous because I'm fired up right now. I'm ticked off. It is going to be god awful, Rob, for a couple years, and that's just what we have to deal with.
We're fired up. I hear that. So we have a handful of coaches on this coaching staff currently that I think a lot of people raise eyebrows about. For me, off the bat, we just mentioned him as Coach Tawaki. I think at the very least, you have to find a defensive line coach who knows what he's doing. Clearly, he is not qualified to coach football. The guy he ran BYU's defense into the ground. And again, look what BYU's doing this year. Okay, they're having a great year without him. He's Kalani Sitake's like cousin or something or whatever, and even he let him go. His cousin let him go. He's like, get out of here. You can't coach. And we welcome him back with open arms. And then, there's been some conversation about Coach Henson, the wide receivers coach, who was the interim for the Sun Bowl last year, and how this receiving core really isn't, stepping up, not playing well. You saw Jordan Anderson hit the field against San Jose State, and he dropped a third down ball. He's supposed to be one of the better young, talented receivers in the group, and he's not getting on the field a lot. And then he did, and he drops that one. We also have Malachi Durant. I believe today's his birthday, too. Shout out to you, Malachi. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, bro.
It's your second year as a Beaver, and we haven't seen him play either. And it's like he was a pretty big recruit coming into Oregon State, too. It's like, why aren't these guys on the field? Year two should be like, all right, you're sniffing the field. Even year one, you should be sniffing the field a little bit more. And I just feel like the development really hasn't been there for the receivers. Trent Walker's been fine. They force feed him just so much. It's insane. But there's a lot of good, talented receivers on this roster. Last week, Coach Hinton spoke with the media, and he speaks so highly of Taz Reddick. He's like, yeah, he's one of the smartest guys in the room. He works hard. He watches film probably more than anybody else. I'm like, okay, why doesn't he play more? Why aren't you throwing him the ball more? Like, reward him. It's in. And the thing about Gobranson's pick six that he threw right to DJ Harvey's chest, his best throw of the day probably, is Taz Reddick sees that San Jose State is in a deep, looks like a cover 3 or 4 zone, and they have every single part of the field covered up. It's a zone. As a receiver, you're taught to just find the soft spot of the zone. So it looked like Taz's route is supposed to go to the sideline. He sees that, oh, there's a defender there. Why run that route? I'm just going to stop and do a little comeback right here. And Ben still threw the ball over there. But Taz is doing the right thing because he's a smart receiver. And Ben obviously hasn't played a lot this year, so he doesn't really know what's going on. And that's what you get. So is that a coaching thing? Is that on Gunderson? Because he's also the quarterback coach. Buddy, who are we developing out here? Because Gobranson's not going to be back next year. Okay. If you want to actually develop for the next year, and like you mentioned, we may not make a bowl game. We probably won't. Okay. You're probably not winning 2 of these last 3 games. It's just too difficult. I don't know what the direction it needs to be. Cause like, look at Colorado, man. Dion, everyone kind of hated on him for like moving on from his coaches so quickly and moving on from players so quickly. Dion might have the right mindset, man, because look at them this year. They're looking at a playoff berth if they just win their conference. They could take BYU without a doubt. Look, it may be harsh, but like you mentioned, it's a bunch of Oregon State alum. It's a homecoming, man. And we were a little bit blinded by that. We're like, oh, former Beavers, this is so great and all. But it's like when you and your buddies start a business together or start coaching together, it's like maybe we don't know what we're doing and probably get some more experience around here. Because I think that's what this coaching staff lacks, and they keep on getting out coached. Coach Ken at San Jose State is a legend, man. He's a great football coach, and his staff very well knowledgeable. I believe the former it was an Anderson Staffer is their defensive coordinator. I forget his name. It's not coming to me right now. He's on the staff, and I'm sure that win against Oregon State felt great for him to go back to Corvallis and beat them. It's that stuff like just irks me so much. But it's like this coaching staff needs to be better. And I think, like I mentioned, during that bye week, Bray needs to take a look in this mirror, man, and really make sure he knows he's going forward with the right guys. If you need to make moves after year one, it's okay because next year doesn't really matter that much either. You just have to get building for 2026 when the conference restarts again. That's what matters. You also got Coach Christian on the special teams. They did make some changes, though. If you didn't notice, that Saladin Law was returning kicks instead of Zach Card. Zach Card came in later and just fair caught a couple, but Alon looked okay. Besides his cleats, man, he kept on slipping on there. It was kind of crazy.
Did
But
his job right
yeah,
there.
but it's it's so frustrating right now as an Oregon State fan, man. This stuff is fixable because you mentioned that you looks like it feels like you're watching a Gary Anderson team again. I'm not there yet. I think this team is like so close to being good. There's so many fixable things on this team. They're just not quite there yet. And they need some better experience in the coaching staff for them to get there. There's a lot of great young coaches on this staff that are going to be getting calls from other programs real soon. Like AJ Cooper, man, he's a great coach. Trent Bray has a lot to do this offseason. I think he's going to have to hit the portal hard again because some of these guys that they got in the portal aren't that great. They're going to have to do a lot this offseason. So that begs the question is, do you want to just get to the offseason quicker or do you still want to make that bowl game?
No, get me to the offseason. What? Yes, I understand you get more practices. I understand you're going to a bowl game. I get that. I completely understand that. I don't want to be this person, but I have to be. Rob, we talked about how big this game was this week and coming out of a bye. Come out and show us that this bye, losing all the games that you've lost coming into this bye, meant something to you guys. Prove it to us. Come out and win a game for us because we're riding a nasty losing streak right now, and that losing streak is going to continue. I'm sorry, everybody. I don't. How bad was this game for you coming out of a bye?
I mean,
If you
Trent Bray's 0-2 now after a bye.
So what are we doing during buys right now besides closing practice to the media? What are we doing? What's going on? I mean, I don't. This is what it's. I'm at a point like I haven't felt this way in a long time as a Beaver fan, Rob. It's
Yeah.
ugly, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of Beaver fans that are jumping ship. I'm not that person. I'm gonna be real and honest with you people and tell you how I feel about it. I don't know from this point right now what happens the rest of the year. If we see any improvement out of this team offensively, I don't think we're going to. Defensively, we're seeing some glimpses of hope here and there. But again, I don't. You have a nasty trip to Air Force this week. You have Washington State and then Boise State. I don't see a lot of light in any of that.
And the way they're just playing offense right now, I don't. It's tough to see right now. But are we writing this team off? Like, are you officially like, yeah, no, we're done. We're losing every single game the rest of the way.
Signed.
Yeah, he
Goodbye.
signed. All right, signed, still delivered. I said after the San Jose State game in that long video rant I did on Twitter that I was also writing this team off. And man, they have to show me something. They have to show up and find some way because right now we are having the exact same season that the Cougs had last year, where you started off pretty good and just fell off a cliff to end the year. I think they found one way to win against Colorado late in the year at home. I think this is kind of like our Colorado game of last year for Washington State. This Air Force game is like the last winnable game of the year. You got to go out and get it. Are they going to? Probably not. If Nevada was too much for you to handle on the road, Air Force is going to be too much to handle for you on the road. Like it's altitude as well. It comes into play. The way they run an offense, it's different. It's triple option. But let's okay per se here. What do they need to do against Air Force to make you think that they will beat Washington State?
I can't honestly think of anything. That's the problem. Offensively, they suck. It's
Yeah.
bad. And honestly, I don't know if Jam going down has a lot to do with it, but it feels like ever since Jam went down, this offense has been lost. Now, granted, McCoy, I don't probably not going to see him ever again. Like
I don't know why. I don't know why.
I don't know why we just after Cal that was it. I mean, again, we talk about this offense needing quarterbacks to be able to make high percentage throws. Ben doesn't give that to you. McCoy doesn't give that to you, but Ben has a slight edge when it comes to the pass. This weekend, he was making some plays, and big third down plays, and even the fourth down play. I don't remember when it was pretty late in the game, but he can make throws. He can squeeze some balls in there. But my lord, dude, he can't do anything else. Like
Yeah.
I don't get it. And when you talk about maybe having a different staff fixing the problem, if you think Gundy wasn't at the helm right now, do you think even with the quarterback situation, this offense would still be the way it is?
Like if someone else was calling the plays, like from the like, let's
Yeah,
say Coach Bray gave passing game coordinator Coach Henson the play calling duties, would it be different?
sure. Yeah.
Um, I want to say yes. I want to say it'd be different because the philosophy, especially inside the red zone, would change. But I mean, I don't know. They have to just it again. I've mentioned this before. It's the fun factor. They have to be fun in the red zone. They have to figure something out. I mentioned maybe run Philly, the Philly special, the little trick play out there. Do something. Remember in the Sun Bowl when they gave the 300-pound four-string lineman? I don't remember his name. They gave him a handoff and he scored on the 2-point conversion, whatever. It's like, why don't we like have some fun, dude? Like mix it up because other schools after their bye weeks, they put in little wrinkles in their offense. They add little different types of either trick plays or just formation adjustments, whatever the case is, play adjustments. They add little types of wrinkles as the season goes on. Every team does that. Has Oregon State even done that once? I feel like this entire season we have seen the exact same script of plays over and over and over again. They've tried a wide receiver pass before, and it's been horrendously bad. That the Cal game they tried it. They tried to throw the ball to Ben Branson down there. You're like, dude, that's not what I'm talking about. If you're gonna run a trick play, you need to have an idea of what you're doing. You can't just be like, throw it backwards to Trent Walker, and then he will throw it 4 yards to Ben Branson, and then he's gonna get blown up by a safety because we didn't trick anybody with that. It's the setup of it. Okay. You have to be smart on how you set up red zone plays like that because these short yardage runs, the passing game down there is just not good enough to score touchdowns. And they don't have a big play aspect to this offense currently. They get more chunk plays for sure with Branson throwing the ball. We saw that against San Jose State. Again, from the 20 to the 20, they were moving the ball. Do we need to have a mobile quarterback come into the red zone to score? Remember when Jonathan Smith was here and we'd get the ball inside the 5 yard line? What did we do every single time? Jack Coletto would come
What are you
in,
talking about?
the
Jack
jackhammer.
Coletto?
He would just come in and just run guys over. And then Jack left. Okay. He went to the NFL. He's doing his practice squad thing. DJU came in here, big body quarterback. Do the same thing with him. Okay. That was easy peasy lemon squeezy. We can do that. We don't have a guy like that on the roster currently, but we still have two mobile quarterbacks who could do that. Hell, you want to put Reichel and just have him take a direct snap? He's a big body. He could do that. Get 3 yards. Are you kidding me? 4 yards? Where is the, first of all, where is the attitude down there in the red zone? And where is the fun factor? That is my two things. So to answer my own question, go ahead. I see you're about to speak.
No, I was gonna say pass, run, punt. It's not fun to you.
Dude, or it's run, pass, turnover on downs inside the red zone. That's what they did. Or interception. That is what they did twice against San Jose State. And 3 points when they got down there, man. Just three. And that's it's not good. It's so bad. I think what needs to change and what I need to see against Air Force to make me think we're going to beat Wazoo is we're going to have to use two quarterbacks. we're going to have to be smart with how we get in. When we get inside the red zone, you're going to have to bring in a mobile threat and move Giovanni McCoy around or Jabari Johnson, whoever you want to use. I don't care. Whoever you want to use, run them around, dude. Get them outside the pocket, make Air Force commit to something, and then you can either throw over him or run by him. Okay. This philosophy of sitting in the pocket in the red zone clearly does not work. And it doesn't even work for your pocket passer and Bengal Branson. They're going to have to find something. And if they do, if they can figure out their red zone offense against Air Force and consistently score touchdowns, then I might have a better feeling against Wazoo because we're at home. But they're going to have to do a lot. A lot has to change. And unfortunately, they just don't have enough time. And like I've mentioned, I've said it before, your problems are your problems. It's November. They've been a bad red zone offense pretty much all year. So I don't know how it changes besides using two quarterbacks. Air Force. Let's get ready for them, okay? Triple option. We know what it looks like. It's one of the oldest offenses in football history, okay? Shout out to the veterans. Air Force got a win on Veteran Weekend. Shout out to all our veterans. Thank you so much for serving our country. I'm wearing my back-to-back Woodward Champs hat just for y'all.
It's awesome.
The camo Oregon State logo on my shirt, man. Appreciate you guys for laying down your life for our country. Air Force is having a tough year, man. They're 2-7, but they just beat Fresno State, like I mentioned, and they will sneak up on you. This Air Force team is young, but if the option is rolling, it is hard to stop. Fresno State watched Air Force have the ball for 45 minutes.
That's a problem. That's a big problem.
45 minutes. Just imagine being Mikey Keene, the quarterback for Fresno State, and just on the sideline, just watching the same three plays over and over and over again, just not being able to stop. Dude, that's got to be brutal as an offensive player for Fresno State, just being like, it's either to the fullback or he's keeping it or they're pitching it. That's all they do. If you can't stop it, you can't stop it. It's incredible. And if Air Force is rolling, man, they can get going, just like Army and Navy. If it works, it works. But overall this season, Air Force really hasn't run it all that well besides that Fresno State game. They're just 36 in the country in rush offense. They did run for 377 against Fresno State. Oregon State's run defense recently has been pretty good, I will say. But they're going from facing a team like San Jose State, who is throw, now to a completely different philosophy and idea of Air Force, and they're just going to run. Their best game by far was against Fresno State, and it's fitting because it was Veterans Weekend. I hope that they have a hangover from this, and they're like, all right, we got another win week. Maybe we can just pack it up for the rest of the year because they're not going bowl game. They're 2-7. They've clinched a losing record, but they will play for pride and they will play all 60 minutes hard. So the Beavers have to give it their all for 60 minutes and they have to find a way to win this game. This game right now, this Saturday, is about pride. And if I am testing my pride against a military academy, I am probably losing because those guys play hard, man. There's no quitting them. Their main running back is Dylan Carson. They have two quarterbacks, kind of. It's Quentin Hayes and it's John Busha. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. And they obviously run a lot. Currently, the line is Oregon State is favored by 3.5, and the over-under is 45.5. And look, man, this is the one thing I will say, and I will jump it to you. If you lose to Nevada, San Jose State, and Air Force in the same year, people are really going to question the future. What are your thoughts on this week matchup against Air Force, my friend?
I don't know where this will rank in must-win games, but we talked about last week being a must-win game. For the sanity of every person in this fan base, this might be one of the biggest must-win games we've seen Oregon State have in a long time. You have to find a way to win this game. You cannot go there. I don't. I have I have them getting blown out. And that's just my personal opinion. We'll get that to here in a second. I don't see the Beavs going to get it done. Now, I want to ask this question. If they do lose this week, which I have them losing, I'll let yours be a surprise. Rob, if they do lose this week, where does this season rank for you as maybe one of the most miserable seasons for Oregon State?
I think this has been one of the more unique seasons, I think, in Oregon State's bad seasons because
Now,
they're
what's premise? It's not their fault.
no,
Let's
it's
be
really not.
honest.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not their fault. Everything that happened last year, I know we need to move on from that. It's not their fault. It's just the hand that they were dealt. But my lord, this team got murdered, and you're seeing every side effect of that the last 5, 6 weeks.
And
Where
the
does it
injuries.
sit?
And the injuries, dude. It's
Yeah.
been bad.
And we're talking about this team that's going to come run the triple option against you. Oregon ran the option against you, and we saw how well that went.
Yeah.
So
And
I
and
don't,
Coach Ray mentioned that he's like UNLV runs an option. It's the same principle, but like I'm like, well, you didn't stop UNLV at all. So
no, no. This is what I'm trying. I'm trying to find a reason to believe that they can go down and get it done. I can't. No matter where I look, what I find, it just, I don't know unless you're going to go out and try to run the triple option against Air Force, which you're not. I don't. We're talking about being exciting and doing something cool. Like, I don't know. Put Taz in the quarterback. Put Jermaine Terry back there. I don't know. Do
hey,
something
hey, he could
different.
run the Coletto package. Jeez.
I don't know. I don't. I'm at a point in the season that I tweeted it out last week. It just sucks to suck, and that's all
Yep.
I can come up with. It's a boring way to put it. I'm
Yep.
sorry, but as we're sitting here yawning, like we don't even know what to talk about anymore because this it's just unreal. Like it's just what it is.
I don't think anything gets worse than 2015, Gary Anderson's first year at Oregon State. I don't think anything gets much worse than that season. What was the year that they barely squeaked by Portland State? Was that 2017? The year
So
that he
maybe
quit, or was it 2016? Whatever. Those 3 seasons just kind of are mush in my head. I don't really think about those years a lot, but nothing tops 2015 for me as a fan of the Beavers, just because like every single week you knew that they were going to lose. This team this year, it's a different kind of bad. It's like a bad luck kind of bad. They've run into a lot of tough situations, tough officiating. End of the UNLV game kind of sticks out to me. Obviously, that's not the reason why they lost that game. San Jose State game, there was a lot of bad officiating. Ken Nuyama Tomomo, whatever his name is, he got reprimanded by the Mountain West for his actions after the game.
can't blame him.
I
He's the
don't blame
winning
him at all.
freaking coach.
Yeah, exactly. He won the game, and he was in the face of that one official, just screaming at him. And I understand, man, that it was a poorly officiated game. The Mountain West has some bad officials, so that begs the question of who's going to officiate our league in 2026. That's to be seen. And then also, some of the former Pac-12 refs are officiating Big 12 games. Questionable call in that Utah BYU game late. That was a former Pac-12 crew. That's a conversation for another time. But man, currently this football team is probably going to lose 7 games in a row in the year, and it's going to hurt. It's going to sting a lot. But I think getting to the offseason at this point is just it's like priority number one. I want them to play hard. I want them to win. Obviously, I'm going to be rooting for them to win. I want them to prove me wrong. I want them to show me that they can still go out there and compete and play with some pride. Like I mentioned, man, does this logo on my shirt behind me, does it mean anything to these guys? We have one kid who already entered the portal. He doesn't see the field at all. Is it going to be like that this offseason? Or are we just going to have a bunch of guys being like, maybe I don't want to be here? Or are we going to have a bunch of guys who hunker down and get ready to go? Before we get to scores, I want to mention the question that was brought up to Trent Bray about NIL from Nick Dashel. And Nick kind of pressed Trent Bray on it because Trent was like, "Oh, I don't know," he basically was like, "I don't want to
Oh,
know." He
oh,
doesn't
you
want to
know.
answer it, and Trent knows. Trent definitely knows, and he said it was in the millions. He basically said we're screwed. That's what I kind of got out of that answer from Trent Bray because he knows we cannot have that kind of money. I mean, dude, Nico at Tennessee, their quarterback, he's making like $8 million. That's for one guy. I think Dylan Gabriel costed like $2.5 to $3 million at Oregon. I think as an entire roster, maybe we can have $1 million. With, but that's just how it is right now, man. Like if we're gonna sit here and play the who's got the richest fan base game, it ain't going to be us unless homie from NVIDIA shows up and he can help us out. But he's probably not. He doesn't care about sports. So that answer concerned me, and I think it concerns the entire athletic program of like, we don't have NIL money. We have a collective, and Trent mentioned it. It's been he's like it's been fine so far, but it's like it's not going to be good enough in the end, and that sucks because this is it's the reality of our our program, our community of Oregon State sports. It's not big enough, and currently sitting 4-5. It's not going to get any bigger when you're not winning football games. So it's tough to hear a coach kind of chuckle and be like, yeah, it's in the millions,
And millions.
yeah, and millions.
That was the icing on the cake for me this week. And if you're still listening to this podcast, thank you.
Yeah,
You
we
are
appreciate you.
one of the few and strong Oregon State fans that we have that listen to this podcast. My concern is next year when this program most likely comes out and struggles for a second season. I like I said earlier, we're seeing a lot of people jump ship already. And I I saw a lot of people early in the season thinking this team was going to win 8, 10 games. Granted, there's been a lot of stuff, a lot of unfortunate circumstances that happened this year with injuries and just everything else. I I don't know how much this fan base can take another year of winning 2, 4, 6 games, maybe. I don't know. And next year's schedule is sucks. It's already weak as crap. So I don't Rob, I don't know. I really don't even know like what direction. I feel like I've been punched in the gut again from last year when we found out that we weren't going to have a conference again. Coach Smith left us. Everybody was going in the portal to go to Michigan State. It just feels like that depression's back again. And I know it's first year head coach, first year everything. It sucks. And then to hear Bryce say that we need millions of dollars to be relevant, basically.
And to keep a lot of these guys on the roster, yeah, dude, it's
Yeah, it just every freaking punch every around every single quarter for the corner for this program. It's just brutal. It just sucks to suck. That's my new motto. I should get it tattooed. It just sucks to suck with a freaking beaver logo on it.
and dude, that schedule next year is better than this year's because you're not just playing Mountain West schools.
For sure.
It's a little bit better, but like playing Wazoo twice, obviously not the best look. It's like it makes sense though. You don't have to pay to go play another team.
Yeah.
I get it. You don't want to play another FCS squad. That's fine. I would rather play Wazoo twice than adding another FCS squad in there. That's fine. The first 4 games of next year's schedule is actually fairly tough. If the Beavers come out of that 1-3, I would not be shocked. But they have everything in front of them. Okay, they don't have to worry about a conference again next year. They can just kind of go out in there and develop again. Get ready for 2026. That is my entire motto right now. Just let's get.
But keyword develop.
Yes, we have to develop. At this point, you have. And the unfortunate thing is, right after the San Jose State game, someone asked Trent, "Are you looking forward to like actually developing somebody and looking towards the future now, and maybe playing a different quarterback compared to Ben?" Or is that not how you think? And he was just like, that's not how a coaching staff thinks. They are trying to think week to week. And that's the unfortunate side. That was probably the most disappointing thing I think I've heard Trent Bray say from like a football perspective. He's not the greatest with the media, and we knew that. He's never been great with the media. He's always hated talking to the media. But that answer was a little bit concerning. I'm like, what's the point of rolling Ben Gilbranson out there when you have 2 young quarterbacks behind him who need to see the field, and let's see what they can do, especially with Jabari Johnson, man. Let's see what he can do. He's played very little, minimal. And he gets out there and he makes a couple of plays, and you're kind of like, I see the potential. He also goes out there and kind of runs around like a rat. And you're kind of like, all right, buddy, like relax a little bit. The play's not over yet. As soon as the ball snapped, he's kind of like just running around crazy. You're like, all right, dude, chill out. I think he needs more experience. And with that, playing time helps him settle down. Why don't we see him play over Ben Gulbranson? We know what he can do. It's not much. Develop. Get ready for 2026. Jabari Johnson could be your quarterback in 2026. And playing him now could benefit him in 2025, 2026, 20, on and on and on we go. Score Predictions brought to you by Hannah Grace Family. They are a nonprofit organization that provide hope and healing to children and their families who are facing instabilities. They have programs designed to bring about change like family visitations, free music lessons with gifted instruments, and family support. You can find out more about this nonprofit and ways you can help children in their program by visiting hannahgrace.org. That is HANNAHGRACE.org. Thank you for the Hannah Grace Foundation for supporting this podcast and giving us a platform to record on and also upload to YouTube. Appreciate you guys for watching and listening. My Hannah Grace score prediction for Air Force against Oregon State. I don't like the direction that this team is going in. It feels like they are dead. Air Force 27, Oregon State 21. Josh.
I have Air Force 35. Oregon State 7.
You got a little choppy on me there, but I believe you said 35-17. Yeah, I think you did. We're kind of losing Josh here a little bit, but really quick, I kind of want to touch on basketball just really fast before we get out of here.
Hell you guys. I really don't. Yes, you are completely frozen.
So are you. we'll get out of here soon, but I want to touch on basketball really quick. They play tonight against Western Oregon. They tip off at 8:00 on Tuesday, November 12th. So far, so good with this basketball team, man. I think they have surprised a few of us so far, the ones who have been watching at least. Their games are on ESPN Plus, which kind of sucks. But if you have Hulu, you can watch them. If you don't, you have to pay for it, and it kind of stinks because a lot of their games are on ESPN Plus this year. But so far, so good, man. Polo looks streaky as a shooter. He kind of needs to get into a good rhythm. I like what I've seen from LT from the little parts that he's played, but Parsifala, man, that dude is a stud down low. He's got a great drop step, great post move player. He's going to be a problem in the WCC. I think he's going to have a lot of matchup issues for opposing teams, and I look forward to this team, man. They come to North Texas, Denton, Texas, on the 25th, I believe. That's a Monday night, and I'm going to try to drive up there and watch this team play. That'll be right after the Civil War. They play Oregon, I think, a few days before that. I'm going to try to drive up there and watch this team play because so far, so good, man. They've been exciting. I like this team. I like the way they play. They're more of a hustle squad, and I would much rather watch a hustle squad than the teams that Wayne has put together in the prior years. So far, so good. Go out and support them if you can. They can make some noise in the WCC, man. It's not that tough of a conference besides Gonzaga and St. Mary's. They can make some noise for sure. And Wazoo had to return, I think, two guys from their team last year. So they could be hurting as well. I think the Beavs can make a lot of noise in men's basketball. The women, on the other hand, they're going to have to take some time to build up their roster, get better again. They lost to Colorado State on the road, but I trust Coach Ruick. I think he's going to get it together. They have a layup of a win tonight. It's a doubleheader in Gill. So if you're going out and you're listening to this on Wednesday, appreciate you for supporting the girls and the guys in basketball. Josh, are you back? Can you say goodbye now?
Listen, I don't know if you can hear me, but all I heard was Texas, and that was it for the last 5 minutes. So
okay,
go Bees, baby.
Go Bees. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. We're falling apart just like the football team. All right. We'll see you later.